What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today I'm going to be going over my pouches. It's been a little while since I've talked about these. Not too much new going on with some of them, but I thought I would go ahead and do an update for 2023, talk a little bit about these pouches, how I'm utilizing them, and why I like these. These are very interesting items to organize some gear in one place. You don't have things loose around in the pocket. And if you watch my videos for a little while, you know that I do like art company gear because it allows for like a pen and a flashlight with a small companion carry knife in the pocket. But on weekends and days that I'm not having to go into the office, I have found that I am drawn to the pouches more and more. But I do find that I will at least carry the flashlight and pen in the pocket, or do like the companion knife with the main knife in one of his organizers with a larger flashlight. But I really, when I carry this, don't need to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the outside. I did take the little bit of stuff that I do have in here out for the video because I have some personal information. But what I found with this is I'll stow a little bit of a cash and maybe like a credit card in here in the back, which I really do like that. And because the zipper is somewhat resistant to dirt, debris, and water, it does keep that out of there. So I do like that outside pouch for that. And then it also has this front pocket that you can also stow your ID and some more cash, or maybe your ID and your debit card in this front part here. And this is a little bit quicker to access than it is when you have that zipper, because the zipper you got to kind of get in here and it's a little bit of a tighter fit. So this is kind of like the reserve pocket that I use for other gear. And then in the front I might throw like the wallet or whatever in here. Again, that's on the weekend or days that I'm not really going into the office. Now on the inside of this, I did buy this with this, it's a glow-in-the-dark ghost, and it was on this pouch when I picked it up on the secondhand market, because garage built gear is, you know, someone, I think, in their garage, from what I've seen on the feed, it looks like they're very small, doing things by hand and very low production runs, and they sell out super quick. So I'm actually going to be in 2023 looking at some other pouches that are a little bit easier to get a hold of and try to share that with everyone that might be interested. But as I mentioned, this was already on here, so I don't know too much about it, and I kind of like it, so I've left it on there with the zipper pull, which really does, I use it all the time. That's the main way that I, you know, grab him and open it, get into this pouch. Oh, really quick, some flair. I have the OG EDC Victorinox No Life, No Knife. I thought I opened rule number 9 to kind of start filling the rest of these out, but I'm not sure if the order didn't go through, so I have to go back to my Etsy account and look. And then I have Baby Groot on here, and all of these glow, which is kind of fun. I have it on my nightstand, and when I cut the lights out, they're all glowed up on the nightstand. It's kind of fun. Anyway, oh, and this is the way, if anybody's a Mandalorian fan. It came with like a top and a bottom. It probably looks like it did. I was hoping to try to find the one that was just square to go across the top here, but I really like that, and I think the brown complements the OD green. Let's jump into the pouch. Inside, I'm going to start with probably the least interesting thing for some folks, and that is going to be my fidget. Yes, I do. When I have this, I'll throw this on my desk, grab this, and kind of fidget as I work, or I'm looking at things when I don't need both hands on the keyboard and mouse. Really nice little fidget. I picked it up off Etsy. I think it was just like the Ace of Spades fidget slide on Etsy. I really don't have any affiliate or anything like that, but I really do like that. I think I am going to try to upgrade my squirt, go back to the, I forget what the SOG is called. Is it the Power Pint? I want to say it's called the Power Pint. This one here is fine, but I've found what my issue is with this and the dime is it's just a little small, and sometimes this is good because when you need like something detailed or to get into small areas, it's nice to have it. But I found with my bigger hands, I just have a little bit of an issue trying to control and use that. And I don't know if you saw there, but I find like it pinches my skin all the time when I'm trying to use that. And I didn't have the issue with the Power Pint because you could kind of squeeze and leave it on there and leave it in place, where the spring load here is good when you want to one hand and you want to grab something and you want to twist it and then let go and reposition and twist it again. It's good for that type of task. But I have found that usually when I'm using pliers, I want it to latch onto something. I kind of want to leave it there. I don't want to have to keep having to put the tension on. The other issue that I have found with the squirt, and you can tell this hasn't gotten a ton of use because it's some of the issues with it that I have, the tools and attachments, while they do get the job done, they're just a little bit small for me. Like, I feel like I have a hard time getting in there to get it. I wouldn't seriously use this to cut anything major. So I have a pocket knife, so that really doesn't come in handy. And then the scissors here are really just a little too small to use realistically. This would definitely be like a tool that I would use in a pinch. Same thing here with these tips on the bottle opener, the flathead, and then this is for Phillips head. So I think it'd be a good tool if you're tight for space. It'd be good for that. If you really had the need to use a set of pliers for a little bit of extra leverage, be good on a key ring. I could see this down in my wife's purse really coming in handy if she needed something like this in a pinch. I think it would work. But for my pouch, I think it's a little bit too small, and I think the power pint would fit in there. Now on this side, as you can see, there's other things over here. On this side, I do have a little notebook. I think I'm out of Band-Aids. I need to throw some Band-Aids down in there. And the only thing with this is because it's jam-packed, it's kind of contoured. But let me see here. I think there's some writing in there. Yeah, just, so like ideas and things that I think of while I'm out and about, I'll throw in on this and put it in here. I've been asked about this a couple times. This is moleskin. Let me see if it says on the inside. Yeah, it doesn't have the brand in there, and I don't know how well that'll show up, but it says moleskin on it, and they were kind of expensive, but this is a perfect size, and I'll actually do this on camera for anyone that might be watching. So you can see here it's 4 inches height, and then here it is 2.5 inches across. So 4 across, 2.5 deep. And it's really thin, so it fits in there well. It's a great option for these little tiny pouches. Sorry, I'm struggling to put my there we go. Great option for the pouches. And like I said, it's really come in handy when I just need something to write down a couple of ideas. I don't like to text myself because I'll forget to look on the phone, or I'll erase it because I think that it was something that wasn't important. And I know I have the memos on the phone, but sometimes it's just fun to pick this up and do that instead of always being nose deep in my phone for things. I am looking at probably a Big Idea Design or someone like that does have like just a solid pen that would be about, let me see, that actually might be the right height. No, that would actually still be too long, but that would be small enough to fit in here. That's a little bit nicer. I like these, but my problem is that it's their refills are expensive, and I've already had one of these fail. Like the whole thing came out and then I over pressed it in, which was my fault, but it's not very durable, and you're constantly, if you push the top onto the back too hard, it just continues to pull at that brass, and that brass came loose. I've learned that you just really got to put it on there easy, and it's just to give the extra leverage for the big hands. But the Fisher Space Pen is nice because it does break down to be compact. Also, the little rubber piece here has kept water from getting down in there, but because their cartridge is pressurized, you really don't have any issues with like writing upside down. If it's wet, it's still going to push the ink out. You just got to have the wet water resistant paper. I do mainly keep my ProTech Runt down in this pouch. It is the perfect size for that. As I mentioned, I won't grab this blade. I would actually grab this blade first to get into a package, to cut string, zip tie, plastic tie, open a package. This is, I think I said open a package twice. This is a great little EDC 5th pocket carry, pouch carry knife to keep on you, especially if you're not loading out, right? If you're not going to carry your gear, which is probably going to be weird for most folks, this is a great option because it's going to cover 90% of the tasks that you would need to do in a pinch, right? For an everyday carry perspective, this is going to really get the job done. It has nice texturing on here. I believe this one is CPM 20 CV, beautiful stone wash, nice edge, great sheep's foot utility shape. I think they even call it a reverse tanto because it has the straight edges. It has 2 sharp edges on it, so you could classify it as a reverse tanto. But I usually think a reverse tanto as being more straight, but I guess you could also say that would then be classified as a Wharncliffe. But this just reminds me more of that sheep footy blade shape, but reverse tanto is fine. I don't know, I rambled on that way too long. Nice landing pad here. If you do want to use the pocket clip and carry this in the 5th jeans of your pocket, this will be great for that. But it also works really well here for me because it does keep that in the pouch. The other thing that I like about this pouch, it does keep the bottom portion of this protected. So if you have something like this Fisher Space Pen that you're putting in here, this elastic band is not really what keeps this in place or from falling out. It's actually the pocket down here. So if you don't have a pocket clip, that's where these pockets come in very, very handy. Or if you don't want to use the elastic here, you want one big thing here, like maybe you're putting your notebook in here instead, you know, that's an option if you didn't want to carry gear there and then you wanted to stow 2 pieces of gear here and not carry any of this here. So you can you have some diversity here with this one. The last item in the tool section up front here is going to be my Dapper Design Ion. I don't think I've charged this in months, so let's see if it cuts on. Yep, so it cuts right on, works perfectly. It holds a charge a really long time, and I just keep it locked. This is handy if you need to look around in the engine bay. If you drop something in the car and you can't kind of see because it has a really dim light, so you got to look under the seat or whatever, it's really good for that. I also like to lay it flat too for small parts and bits. As you can now, I can see the dirt. I don't know if you can see it, but if you drop like a small screw on the floor and if you comb across with this, it doesn't come through on camera really well. But as you comb across, this actually picks up little specks of details that because it causes them to cast a shadow, which is another thing that this really comes in handy for. The lock on it, again, works really well. Keeps it from cutting on in the pouch by accident. You can hit it all you want. By accident, just tapping it isn't going to cut it on. Tapping and holding isn't going to cut it on. You got to click it 5 times to unlock it, which is how the charge lasts so long because it's not accidentally getting cut on. I believe, yeah, it is magnetized as well, which is another reason why I like this one. But I think if I could, I'd probably upgrade to maybe a pineapple. The problem is I found like when you find the USA made flashlights, they're more expensive than some of my pocket knives. So I would like to be able to find one, even if it was aluminum and it was stone washed. Let me see, actually I have something kind of like that here. This Lumen Top, which is a very cheap Chinese made knife that works okay. I will say that I've found with the indicator on the back, it drains the battery fast. Sometimes I'll cut it on and it won't even cut on. It's died because the indicator light has drained it. So I think that while it is a cool feature, totally unnecessary. Who can't just click their flashlight on to know that it has power or not? I think that battery would last twice as long without it. I do have a microfiber cloth on here, which has really come in handy. I've used this a lot to clean off my glasses when I don't feel like putting on my contacts, and I've stowed some extra stuff back here. I think like an alcohol wipe and then some Band-Aids here on this side. So that is my complete loadout for the Garage Gear built pouch. The other pouch that I probably use as often as the Garage Gear pouch is actually going to be my Maxpedition. This is a fantastic pouch. It is very affordable. They can be had for around $20. It has a front netted pocket, so you wouldn't want to stick anything here that you wouldn't want people to see, but it has no back pocket. In return, it does have this little hook here, so if you have a carabiner or something like that, you can hook it. My actual backpack for work, which is where this is primarily stowed, Has two side pockets, one on the right for like carrying a drink bottle, and then one on the left. And it even has the picture, because I think it's a Swiss gear pouch, of carrying Swiss gear, pocket knives, things of that nature in that little pouch. It fits perfect in there. It has elastic, so it comes over top of it and holds that in place. Great zipper pull on it, and the zipper works flawlessly. And as you can see, it stretches out so that you can get, you know, the zipper over top of whatever you got. And you can tell I have this maxed out. I probably have more gear in it than I really should, but let's go ahead and jump into this one. So the things that I'm going to cover right away that are very similar, I do have my organizer in here, and then I do have for centering a knife, because I have more tools in here than I have in the other one, is down in here. And then I also carry an extra battery for the Lightstream light. I like having the battery set up for this one because I don't get into this one as often. So if the battery dies, I can just grab another one, because I'm going to forget to get in here to charge this one. This pouch is too big. Or is this one of the same? Oh no, I'm sorry. This is the same pouch. Sorry, the same. Yeah, this is the same brand that's in there, but this was an ugly color. It was a 3-pack, and I didn't like this one. It almost looks red, but it's not red, and I keep that down in here, and I think that's it on that side. So that's everything in the back. I do have a Swiss Army knife in this one, just because I couldn't quite organize the power pint that I used to have in here, but this one's really handy. I found, like, to get a knot undone, that's where I found like this really comes in handy for that, to get in there. I don't really get into a wine bottle that much, but for a utility tool, when you get in here and you're trying to get a knot out, this actually digs into that really, really well. I have found that I have actually had to use my tweezers. They're quite handy and they work. They're very effective. They're not the best tweezers in the world because they're flexible, but to kind of get something out of the skin that's irritating it, these have actually worked really, really well. And then otherwise, there's not too much on here that's super duper special. You have, I think this is the awl back here. Yeah. And then you have a little hook tool. You have a full-size blade back here, which I really don't use that too often. If I need the bigger blade, I'm going to grab this penguin that we'll get to in a second. But this actually does have a usable bottle opener, and that I have found that I use, you know, not all the time, but I have found that I've grabbed this and used this, pop the lid off of a beer or something like that. So it's come in handy for that. Can't think of too much else that I've used this for. I know that it has them. I'm looking for it. Usable scissors. I actually can use this pretty effectively if I wanted to kind of cut something at work and didn't really want to break out the knife. That is very discreet because you pull that out and you're not even breaking out the blade, so it's very unassuming. I do like this tool here. I did do this to try to match it with the black, gray, and red, but this is the Weehaw version of the tool that you see that I use all the time on the channel, the drivers, and then it has the smaller bits, but I have the 8, 6, and I believe the 10 is in here as well, even though I don't really need that. I like that again because whatever's in the pocket, if for some reason it came loose, really quick and easy tool to use. I mentioned the battery for the Lightstream. This is a good little flashlight. I do wish the interface was a little bit softer. It's a little tough to push. You have to really push down on that to click it on. It only has one brightness, but for something really quick and dirty, that's very helpful. I do not like the zebra pen at all, but because I was able to stow it in here the way that I am, I do use this. You really extend it out to open it, but it's just so thin, and it's for long writing, it's uncomfortable to use. But for a quick note, if I don't want to dig it out of my backpack to grab a pen and paper, then this is nice, right? It's a nice option to have for something quick to use. Now let's jump into the tool real quick, because this is actually one of my favorites, and I actually thought about this to put in there with the power pint and taking that pin out and carrying this instead, because I really could afford to take that pin out, because I mentioned earlier the art company gear that I'm using. I usually have a pin and a flashlight in there, so I really could afford to take that out of the organizer because I usually keep that in the pocket. But I really love this bit vault for 2 reasons. It stores full-size bits, and when you're actually using it, it's actually easier to control in here this flat driver. And because of its thin profile, it takes up a whole lot less space than the round tools. Yes, I have 2 tools in here, but that's because, you know, some of the Spydercos, if you're having to whatever disassemble, or the Benchmade's disassemble, it's nice to have the 2 tools. And then it has this little carabiner back here that you can kind of flop into, and then when it's hanging, it's closed solid. But this is a really nice tool. I think it's, yeah, Bitvolt, I think is the manufacturer, but really cool tool, and I really do like that. They have a couple of color options, so I could replace this with a pen, and then I could go with a bigger flashlight. I do like this better than the power plank because it lays flatter and it has the tool that I need, but I don't have, it has the bits that I need, but it doesn't have. Now, the main knife that I carry in here is the basic, very basic Penguin, like 32 bucks, with D2 red micarta. I did dye these a darker red. It was like a real pinkish color when I got them, and this just made it a much darker red, which I really like. The D2 in this pouch in my backpack, I have not had any issues with it rusting, and it's been in there over a year, almost 2 years. This has been in that pouch. It doesn't get a lot of hard use, but you know, if I need something to cut with, I'm grabbing this out of all the stuff here. If I don't have my other gear, I will grab this and use this. It's small enough to break out, not super loud, and you know, I can open up some boxes at work or in the office or whatever with this and not have to be digging anything out of my pocket that I really just don't want people to get the wrong idea of, because you know, some people panic when they see that. But it's a nice micarta. It's not the best, it's not the worst. The chromatic hardware to me on this still kind of makes it look cheap, but you know, for being in the pouch, it's really, really good. Same thing here. Down in here, I have alcohol wipes and Band-Aids. This one's stocked. I just recently restocked this one, so I need to restock my garage gear belt pouch. And then a nice little, I think this is, yeah, it's a Civivi microfiber cloth. These are great for cleaning the glasses. I don't really need to use it to clean anything else, but they work really, really well. And they stow in here so nicely and take up such a little bit amount of space. But I really am going to consider reorganizing this one because it is packed up so much. I'm not quite sure that I need this tool. I think I could replace it with a nice little pen, and then I can get rid of this pen and either keep the MicroStream because I really don't have anywhere else for it to go, or you know, a larger pen. I think, you know, if I could flatten this side out, I could probably ditch the pen and the notepad. Because it is in my backpack, I do usually keep a notepad and pen down in another pocket, so I could probably maximize this a little bit better for the backpack. Last but not least is one I'm trying to actually use a smaller one. So apologies, I haven't finished having a chance to clean this off, but it is the Gentle Stash. It had this really tacky label on the front that I took off. But this one's kind of neat because in retrospective, you can see just how much smaller it is than the Mighty Pouch. I was looking to build something that I could actually throw down in the pocket as opposed to carrying with me. So that's why I'm looking at this one. I probably would lose this lanyard here next. I really don't think that's necessary, and I don't like the skull. I still need to make my own pull for this. I haven't had a chance, but it does have a couple outside pockets, so if you wanted to throw an ID and debit card in here, you could. You just got to be mindful that, you know, it's in your pocket, so it shouldn't fall out. That's the idea. And then you have some pockets here that you could throw something else in. I haven't quite maximized this one either. I've only been carrying it a couple months, but on the inside I feel like it's pretty maxed out. I don't have anything to write on here, so there's no, you know, no pen, no pad, anything like that. I guess the Streamlight could replace the Rovivon that I have here. I think this is the A3. Yeah, this one is a rechargeable. The only thing about these rechargeable ones, you can't replace the battery, I don't think. I think once it's done, you just toss it and buy another one. But it kind of makes sense because I think it's like 20 bucks, so it's not super expensive. And I did put my own lanyard on here just to be able to pull it out. But I think that Streamlight could go in here. The problem with the Streamlight is going to be the battery. I wouldn't have a place for the battery. The other thing that I have in here, this is a alternate to the CRK tool that you see on the channel all the time. I keep this down in this pouch here, and it stays in my nightstand, which is nice too, because at night, if I've forgotten to tighten something up or something like that, I do have an 8 and a 6 in here with a Phillips head and a flat head down in the other side of it. So it's a great tool, 30 bucks, nice billing. It has this machining here for grip so that you can, you won't have to worry about sliding for that. I think I'm going to end up taking the key ring off and just throwing a little lanyard on here as well. Just, it's just to pull it out and then also to pull off the brass here that covers the hole. I don't know, I might lose it all together. Nice little cutting tool here too, companion carry. I wouldn't companion carry my art company stuff with this one. This would actually be in replacement of that on that particular day. But I do have the, is this the baby banter? Is that right? The baby banter Nitro V stone wash. It has a burgundy handle, but yeah, it's okay. It has one liner on one side, no liner on the other side. Nice little knife. Actually, the way that forward finger choil works out, I can actually hold this, right about here, which is all you really need to get into a package or a letter or something, cut some string, just something really quick and easy. This is a nice dirty little tool for that, and it, it fits in here really well. The only problem I have found is that I've tried to break this in and loosen it up a little bit. The elastic in here is not the best, and you see it just kind of gets stuck. So what I have found that I have to do is, like, before I even start putting it in there, is just get a little pinch grip and pull it up. But it's, this is like a $20 cheap little thing off Amazon. I just wanted to see how it would work. Another little fidget in here, just because I didn't know what else to stick in there. It's such a small pocket. I really couldn't tell you what I would stick in there. I probably just could ditch both of these and just stick something like a microfiber cloth in here, and maybe, I don't know what you could stick in here. The pouches are the pockets are so small. I had to get creative for that. This one here, I actually like this one better than the squirt. For whatever reason, this one here is easier for me to manipulate, and I think it's because it has this bottle opener on the end. It gives something for my thumb to grab onto, and it doesn't necessarily want to pinch because they don't make contact on the handles. So I actually do like the dime a little bit better as far as its function, but the tools on it really aren't too terribly useful, so they don't get a lot of use. And I did put my own lanyard on there, so I don't know, I might just throw some band-aids in here, call it a day. Maybe a microfiber cloth. I don't know what I would use it for though, because I guess for my glasses, because usually when I'm out and about I have my contacts on, but I guess you never know what you would need that for. But some band-aids and maybe some alcohol wipes, I can load that up. I'm probably going to have to get that stuff this weekend because I'm getting low anyway. Zipper works pretty decent. I think what I'm going to do on here is get some adhesive, hook and loop, Velcro, whatever you want to call it. The problem is I think the adhesive is not going to hold it in place very well. I think it's going to want to come off. And I don't know that I want to disassemble that just to put some Velcro on the front of this little cheap organizer. I think it would be more trouble than it's worth to try to take in all the stitching apart to get down into it. But for $20 just to organize something that you actually can throw down in the pocket, that's not too bad. But those are the pouch load out for the beginning of 2023. What I'll probably do is just quarterly do like a little bit of an update to let you know how any of this has changed or if something has gotten replaced. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit longer, but I did want to cover all three depending on what you're interested in. What I'd love to hear is what you're using that was attainable, right? I don't want to chase another garage built gear, and I had to do that on the secondary market, and I paid a little bit more than what it was originated for, but he did have some flair on here. Did I say flair? He had some stuff that was included with it, so I felt okay with that price. And this one here having to be modified a little bit isn't too exciting, but this one I feel like for $20, Maxpedition, this is a great one for the car, or they have different sizes too. I have my inside the house, I have my bigger one that has the actual tools that I do use for disassembly that I really like, and they're always in stock, it seems like. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, leave a like. Consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. I'd love to have you follow along. Thanks to everyone that is subscribed, regularly leaving the likes and comments. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have a fantastic week, and until next time, peace.